Welcome back, guys, on my YouTube channel. I'm here today with a super cool rally bike build, probably my favorite build in the last years. And
5 years.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really proud on this Yamaha build. It's based on the Yamaha WR450F 2018 model, and I made it for my friend Pierpaolo, who is starting to do rallies. He did last year his first ever rally, and this bike was supposed to race Tuareg Rally. Coronavirus slowed things down, so we might see him at Africa Race or in any other rally. But now, with no further ado, I'll start explaining you in details all the things that are placed on this bike, and take a seat because this bike is packed with special accessories. Pierpaolo had unlimited budget, so we could this means we have more than a factory bike. Probably Yamaha factory team is jealous of Pierpaolo's bike. As you've seen in the intro, this bike is packed with features, and I'm really proud on this build because it was for a close friend of mine, and it was on a Yamaha. In my heart is blue, even though this bike is yellow and black like the classic Yamaha. Let's start looking at the bike in detail. Starting from the front, we'll move all the way back, and I'll tell you each part and component that we placed on this bike. It's a WR450F 2018 model. Let's start looking at this bike packed with features. The first thing we notice is we changed completely the plastic kit. We used an UFO-Plast yellow and black plastic kit. This is inspired to the Yamaha 60th anniversary edition, but also because Pierpaolo has a business where he rents American vehicles such as American school buses. So we wanted the bike to blend in with the coolest motorhome you can find at any rally. The first thing that comes to the eye, obviously, is the fairing kit and the tower. This is the Rebel X Sports fairing kit. We have a transparent windshield and then a headlight mask that separates the lights from the windshield, so we get no internal reflection, and it becomes easy to clean the lights without having to take off anything. The windshield is held in place with fairing quick releases, so no tools needed to remove the windshield if we need to access any of the wiring, or if we place a tool bag or any spare part here on the tower, we will easily be able to access it. The fairing side panels are in black fiberglass. Obviously, we placed on top a graphic kit. The whole graphic kit, we custom designed it, placing the sponsors and doing all the drawings. Going back on the front of the bike, we have two LED 10 watt each lights. The windshield, as you can see, protects nicely the whole instruments that are placed on the tower and also gives a good airflow to the rider. This was designed for racing purposes, so to go full throttle. We also opted for open handguards by UFO-Plast. This decision was made because personally I prefer open handguards. They make me feel safer in case of crash, because I don't end up having the risk of having my hand blocked inside in case of a crash. So I prefer these, and I told Pierpaolo I would put these. They're also easy to remove and replace in case they break. But one really nice feature of this bike is the suspension. Here we place the full all-in system, all-in suspensions. The external of the forks is still the Kayaba one, but all the internals have been changed, whereas the rear shock has completely been changed, and we placed the full brand new all-in rear shock. This is to provide the bike a high sensibility. With these suspensions, as soon as you twist a few clicks, you really feel the difference compared to OEM suspensions. Not that the Yamaha OEM Kayaba suspensions are bad, because they're really good compartment, but we wanted to take a step further and bring this bike to factory racing level. Moving on the other side of the windshield, so from the rider's point of view, we can see on the tower that we placed an ICO Tripmaster. This is the ICO Max 2 Tripmaster. So this has a wire that runs to the front wheel, and we have a magnet. Combined to the ICO Tripmaster, we have a MIGTEC roadbook holder. This is also featured in one of the videos I made dedicated to the roadbook holder. In the roadbook holder, we still have a roadbook from Tuareg Rally of last year. This bike was supposed to race Tuareg Rally this year, but due to coronavirus, it's still brand new. Underneath, we have two switches. One is to command the fuel pump of the rear tank, which I'll show you in a minute. And the other one is to give current and power to all the instruments, so that if we load the bike on a van and we press any buttons for mistake, it won't drain the battery of the bike. In the middle here, we have the two indicators, the fuel reserve indicator and the engine indicator, so that you know if you have any issue, we kept these indicators of the bike. A small pro tip, never use those like classical thumb switches that you just press up and down and you have no clue if it's on or off. First, you're not on a airplane where you need to switch everything. On a motorbike, you need to know if stuff is on, and you don't have the time to look at the switches. This is why we always place switches that have an LED. In this way, we will see if something is on or off, but also this design is less exposed. In case we crash or we just move around the bike, it will be difficult that we turn on something by mistake. The whole tower is a plug and play tower. No need to drill, no need to weld anything, no need to cut anything. This is a special bracket that goes around the frame and holds the whole tower in place. It's very firm and stable. This kit has been raced over the last 3 years, the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, which is a race of the World Championship, but also it has been raced several times at Dakar. On the tower, the instruments are fully adjustable. This means you can tilt the roadbook so that any rider of any different height can have the perfect viewing, but also it can go up and down, so you can bring it closer, because everyone uses different handguards. So depending on the handguards you're gonna use, you'll have to either raise or lower the instruments. On top of this bracket, we have a place for all the GPS antennas in case you're racing any World Championship event or Africa race or Dakar. Then we have another bracket behind that it was meant for other GPS antennas, but mostly commonly used for spare levers and spare parts. This, I think, comes really useful because it's always a smart decision to take with us a pair of levers, because these can break even if you're running closed handguards. We always have the classical Rebel X Sports 6-way fuse box with LED indicator, error indicator. We will wire, and all the instruments are wired directly from the fuse box, because in the kit, main power wire is included. It's in gray color, so it's easy to know which is the main power wire that gives current to the fuse box. It plugs in the fuse box, and then all the wires of the roadbook Tripmaster go through here. A very cool feature of the Rebel X Sports nav towers and all their rally kits is that when you're not using the bike in a rally scenario, you can simply remove, by removing 4 bolts, the roadbook holder, disconnect it, and place a Garmin GPS in the exact position of the roadbook, so very visible position, by this red bracket that is included in all the Rebel X Sports rally kits. It goes there, and it can hold either a RAM mount or a Trailtech Voyager Pro or a Garmin mount. So 276 CX Montana, you can place it there, use it for adventure riding with your friends, and when it's time to race a rally, swap it and place a roadbook back on. A nice feature of this snaf tower is that it's designed to be wide enough to hold all the wires inside the tower. This will mean not having them exposed, and that in case of crash or if we get some branches or something, we won't have the risk of damaging the wires. But also from an aesthetic point of view, it's much nicer to see a tower with no wires running around it. Leaving the tower, we changed the handlebar risers. We put a CNC machined Scott's handlebar risers because we also placed the Scott steering damper. The Scott steering damper is the one used by Yamaha, Honda, KTM, Husqvarna. All the factory teams are using the Scott steering damper. This is fundamental if you're doing rallies where it's pretty fast. This can be like rallies in Morocco, or you're racing any Baja, because the steering damper will save you from crashing. Because how this acts is that if you're going at a very high speed and you get like a big rock, the steering won't do this, and it won't make you fall off the bike, because the steering damper has a system that as soon as it feels something weird is happening, it will absorb the impact. Keeping our view on the handlebar, we changed the grips. We put foam grips because this bike is made for Pierpaolo to race in desert rallies, so he won't race in mud. These are much softer, and we also added in the internal these 24MX like pads. This is so that when you tighten a lot your hand, you don't get blisters. We have then a CNC machined RNS thumb switch. This controls the road book going backwards and forwards, and the 3 buttons control the trip master. So we can change screen of the trip master, and we can bring it either forward or backwards. We then changed both levers. We placed them black, but that's just something we did to make the bike look cooler. And the whole clutch assembly is different. It's a CNC machined, and you have the adjuster, which is bigger and easier to access while you're riding. We then placed some radiator guards. This reinforces the radiator in case of crash. Very important in rallies because we need as much airflow as possible, because the bike goes through some pretty harsh heat, and this will protect our radiators. We also did another upgrade in order to dissipate better the heat. We upgraded the water pump. We placed a Boyson special water pump and also changed the radiator hoses. We put silicone Samco radiator hoses. This will keep the whole bike a bit cooler, and it will lower a bit the grease. We then placed a Recluse reinforced clutch. This is not the automatic clutch, because I absolutely do not recommend any of you use an automatic clutch in desert rallies, because you'll wear it out really quickly. This is the reinforced one, so it will perform really well even in several rallies, as this bike not only had to do Tuareg but also Morocco Desert Challenge. We can then see we changed the rear brake pedal. This has a bit more grip, and you can change the position, move it backwards and forward depending on the size of foot you have. On the frame, we placed the Vibram rubber frame mounts. You can check the video I made on these special stickers by Vibram. This helps you have a lot more grip. This is fundamental in case you see a danger at the last second, or you take a wed or a jump. You'll have immediate grip on the frame as soon as you tighten your legs, and this could save you from crashing. We opted at the moment for a plastic bash plate. This is from Sicra. It's nice because it gives a really full protection and protects also the water pump, which the OEM bash plate doesn't do as well as this bash plate. But we will upgrade to bash plate from Rebel X with the water reserve, because in certain rallies it's compulsory to have 3 liters of water on your bike. Speaking about protection, we also placed these Polysport swing arm protectors. Not that we were really interested in protecting the swing arm, even though it helps a bit, but we just liked the fact they were black and it would make the whole bike look better. To increase the power of the bike and especially the torque of the bike at low RPM, we changed the exhaust. We placed a Spark exhaust. I personally was part of the development a few years ago of this exhaust. Spark is an Italian company based in Mantova. They do mainly exhaust for MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3, but they also started doing off-road exhaust. We put it on the dyno, tested it really well. This exhaust gives a lot more torque to the WR450 that when you open the throttle, it feels like you want a bit more power. So I'm happy on this exhaust. It's a full system. I really love the fact that the exhaust pipe is in black. This was the only upgrade we did from an engine perspective other than the clutch, water pump and exhaust, because we don't want to change the reliability of the bike. So in this way the bike, we know, stays very reliable, and that's what you want when you're racing. We also wanted to improve the comfort of Pierpaolo, who is pretty tall and he doesn't like to stand up a lot on the bike. So we raised the foam of the seat of 2 centimeters. This is why you see it makes a straight line. And we placed our classical Selle dalla Valle factory rally seat cover. This is the same materials that the Yamaha factory Dakar team is using, and I personally made some seats for Adrian van Beveren last year and this year. This has the central part in a special quick dry leather. We got the camels to have better grip when we are moving to the back, and on liaisons underneath we have a layer of memory foam. On the sides we have these carbon fabric that makes it easier to slide back and forwards with our legs. Behind the seat we see on the fender an extra tail light. This is compulsory in all international rallies to have 2 rear tail lights that have to work with the brakes, so that if we are in dust, anyone that's coming behind a motorbike or a car will see us. These 2 lights are connected together and they work with both the front and rear brake. Checking out the other side of the bike, we have a 7-liter rear tank. This rear tank is in plastic and it connects to the front tank in not a classical way, as the Yamaha has the fuel pump pretty high, so we cannot have simply the fuel flow inside the front tank. So we had to add an electric fuel pump, on which we made a special small ECU that we command with the switch, so that when we press the switch, half of the tank is emptied in the front tank. From the rear tank we have a hose coming out from here, going into the fuel pump, and then another hose that comes all the way up here and flows in the front tank. Everything is connected with the dual valve quick disconnects, meaning if we disconnect we won't have any fuel come out, and it will be easy to work on the bike and take down the tank, as the tank is held in position by 2 bolts. We are missing, but we have also a 3rd bolt with a bracket placed here. It's very firm and it has the same design as the OEM number plate. To decide how much fuel we want from the rear tank to go into the front tank, we designed a special ECU which is commanded by the switch, and once we press the switch, the electric pump will flow half of the tank. In this way, if we forget the switch on, we won't burn the electrical fuel pump. Other small accessories are the different gear pedal. We wanted it black and red to blend in nicely with the red radiator hose. And on the rear we changed the sprocket. We throw away the OEM sprocket and we placed a 48 teeth stealth sprocket with the center is made in aluminium, whereas the teeth are made in steel. This will let us have a sprocket that will last long and that we won't have to change halfway through the rally. Another upgrade we yet didn't do, but we will do, is we will change the chain slider. We will go for the TM design chain sliders, as they're in a very hard plastic because the OEM ones made in rubber wear out pretty quick. We can also now see the other side of the exhaust, the full system by Spark we placed, and you can see we have this expansion base. This is for the gas and it helps give the bike more torque. In fact, you'll find exhausts like this used a lot in motocross bikes. To end with, the sticker kit that we designed is made in crystal material, a very thick material and glossy, which is designed to last for the whole rally and hopefully both rallies that Pierpaolo will do in 2021. I really hope you enjoyed this other rally bike build. I loved building this bike. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if you like all the accessory we placed on, if you have taken inspiration by any of the accessories Pierpaolo wanted on this bike, but also let me know if you're curious to know the total cost of this bike build. Meanwhile, I'll continue to build bikes because we have interesting videos coming out. We have the 701 LR version that we are building for Africa race. We have a Yamaha WR450F that we are building for Dakar Rally, and we also have a CRF 450L that we are turning into an adventure bike. Thanks a lot for watching the video. Please give it a like if you liked it, share it if you have any friends with a Yamaha WR or YZ bikes, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao ragazzi!